I'm Nicole Crozier, a Fractional CMO with New Initiatives Marketing.
And hi, I'm Jen Kelly, Fractional CMO and the founder of New Initiatives Marketing. We are a fractional CMO plus expert B2B marketing team and serving B2B marketing companies.
Right, and today we're going to be talking about our latest blog post, which is hiring in-house or outsourcing, comparing B2B models and options. Right, so let's set the stage a little bit for where a B2B marketing company might be right now when they're trying to consider these options. And the options we're talking about them considering, to be clear, are, should I hire an in-house marketing team? Should I outsource to a marketing agency? Should I engage with a fractional CMO? Or is this something we can figure out how to do ourselves off the sides of our desk? And so, Jen, can you talk a little bit about where a B2B company might be when they're considering these options?
Where they would be. So the company would have been a going concern for a while now. They would have had success in the marketplace, meaning they had been around for a few years. And they have systems and processes in place like internally for their own services or product development. They have systems in place for payroll. They have systems in place for their administration. So this is, I guess this is not a startup. This is a company that has been going really well, mostly on, sales-driven initiatives, CEO-driven initiatives, bringing in the sales, bringing in the new customers that way.
This is a company then probably that has grown to a certain level, say 3 to 10 million, on some pretty good sales-led initiatives or CEO-led initiatives. So they likely have a strong sales model in place. But they've kind of gotten to a point where things have plateaued and they know they need a little bit more of a strategic and systematic approach to marketing. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's very fair. Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about the first option they may be considering, and that would be hiring in-house. And they may be considering hiring an in-house person, a single person for marketing. They may be considering, should I hire a marketing leader like a CMO or a VP of marketing, or should it be a marketing manager, a product marketing manager, or just a marketing specialist? Or they may be thinking, do I need a team? Do I need to hire multiple people? What do you think about that?
Well, let's go through them. So hiring an in-house marketing team. So this would be bringing people in into your company as an employee. And usually the biggest decision there is, do we hire more junior? Do we hire more senior? And with that, the hesitation that I see on both sides is, or the results of that, if you hire very senior, what you're going to get is someone very well experienced in your industry, well experienced in marketing, most likely able to lead, create the strategy, align the strategy with the rest of the business goals, and really lay out a plan for the marketing going forward. What they are not able to do, or perhaps at that level not willing to do, is to get into the trenches and actually do the work, design the graphics, build the web pages, get the email marketing out. So so that's where some clients get into a bit of a disillusionment about, well, we've hired this senior person who has all this experience, so why can't they get all of this stuff done? And it's simply because at that level, that kind of level of person shouldn't be in the trenches doing that type of work. And as well, the funny thing about our discipline is, as a marketing leader, you should know about the whole landscape of marketing and what's involved. It doesn't mean you have the expertise to dive in and do every single type of job or sub-discipline within marketing. So that's on the higher level side. If you're hiring someone more on the junior side, so maybe they're a couple of years out of schooling, a couple of years into their professional career, and that person, while could be very well versed in a lot of the different marketing tactics, how to do this, how to do that, would most likely lack the experience in order to create the marketing strategy for your business, be able to link the strategy, the marketing strategy to the business goals, have the vision and the ability to put that all together and then to be able to lead the execution of it. So, and it's not saying that they can't do that in time. It's just simply at that level where they are in their career, those skills haven't been developed yet. So typically where it gets frustrating for someone trying to build their in-house team, they're either hiring too high or too low. And at both sides, they might be a little bit disillusioned about like, well, why can't the junior do the strategy? Why can't the more senior person actually do all these things that are in the plan? And simply, and it's a funny thing within marketing, and you can look this up in virtually every marketing job listing out there today. They're going to be asking for a whole bunch of different skills that isn't quite possible for one marketing practitioner to have. They may know all about, these various different things, but you can't have someone be the copywriter and the graphic designer and the web designer and the email marketing person, as well as the analytics, it go on and on and on. So not possible, different skill sets, and truly not enough time in the day to get that all done.
Right. So the challenges for a B2B company at this stage is that they actually do need a senior marketing leader because they likely don't have a strategy in place yet. And so they do need that experience and that leadership to get things going. However, they don't have the budget often to hire multiple people. And so while they can get the strategy, they may not be able to get a lot of things executed. And then what can happen is they can hire someone too junior with the hope that they can do the strategy, but then not get the strategy they really need. And it can set them back sometimes a few years. And so the next option that B2B companies often consider at this stage is outsourcing to marketing agencies.
Outsourcing to marketing agencies, I mean, it can be a great option. Absolutely. What that typically entails is finding the right marketing agency for what it is that you want them to do. So typically marketing agencies specialize in certain areas of marketing. So PPC, branding, email marketing. There are some that do sort of A to Z, full service. But most times there's a specialty in there. So where you run into the great thing about it is you can buy the subscription with the marketing agencies, hire them on for a retainer or project basis, and get real expert skill in a certain area. The downside of that is, in order to get all the areas that you need the expertise in, you're looking at hiring a bunch of different marketing agencies. The challenge with that, I mean, it can happen, but the challenge with that for the in-house leader is now you have, 4 to 5 different marketing agencies to manage, which is quite a bit. And the different agencies are going to have to work together. And so who takes the lead, who's doing what, when, and who's putting that all together. And then that falls on the in-house leader in order to orchestrate that all. And if you're the leader in-house that doesn't have the marketing background, marketing expertise to coordinate and manage this and bring this all together, it can become very overwhelming and not feel as efficient as it might seem on paper.
Right. And so there are a couple of big challenges there. One is that there does need to be a leader in the company managing all the agencies, and often that can fall to either the CEO or the VP of sales, is what I've typically seen. The second challenge is that if you haven't yet brought in a senior marketing leader, you actually don't have a marketing strategy yet. And these marketing agencies, and here's where I have seen the disconnect be with companies before, is they think that the marketing agency is going to automatically create a strategy for them before they execute on some tactics. But that's actually not the marketing agency's job. Instead, they're relying on you to tell them what your strategy is. And then they bring in specialized tactical expertise to create a website based on that strategy, create an email campaign based on that strategy, do some branding based on that strategy, create some content based on that strategy, or whatever it may be. So outsourcing to marketing agencies is great once you have someone in place who has set up your strategy and can manage the agencies, but it's kind of more of the order of who you bring in first. That's the most important thing. So then we've talked a little bit about hiring in-house, outsourcing to marketing agencies, and then there is a third option, and that is hiring a fractional chief marketing officer and or a fractional chief marketing officer who also can bring with them an expert B2B marketing team. And so, Jen, how is this different than working with an agency or hiring in-house?
How it is, okay, so how it's different than hiring in-house is typically the fractional CMO agency or service is pretty much ready to go. I'm going to say within 7 days. So if you decide to sign the contract within 7 days, you can have your discovery meeting. Sometimes you can have it, right, the very next day, as opposed to going out there looking for the right fit to bring in-house, and that's going to take several interviews and may take several months, maybe 18 months if you're looking for the right person at a certain level. So it certainly compresses the time. You can rapidly get your marketing up and running if you go with the fractional CMO model. The difference between that and then the marketing agency is like you were explaining. The marketing agency is going to look to, okay, what is your strategy and how can our expertise fit in there? When you come to a fractional CMO service, they're looking to start that strategy probably from scratch. They're going to assume, well, they'll ask and figure it out for sure, but they're coming in very much expecting that the business has some goals about where the business wants to go, and they're going to be researching and then developing the marketing strategy that's going to support the business in getting the business to where it needs to go. So they're going to come in day one with that kind of idea in mind about that's the kind of work that we're brought in to do. And then at the end of it, the responsibility is to create a strategy and a plan that then, upon approval, can start to be executed almost immediately.
Some fractional CMOs, they can be brought on a fractional basis to pretty much be just an alternative to bringing on a full-time CMO. But then once they've created the strategy, they then also have to bring in resources to execute on that strategy. And then on the other side, there are some fractional chief marketing officers who have already developed a team in-house of B2B marketing specialists who have kind of a well-honed way of working, and they already have those people ready to execute on the strategy. And so one example is in the past, I was a fractional chief marketing officer for a medical device company, and I came on without already having an expert B2B marketing team. This was before I was working with new initiatives marketing. And so what I did with that organization is, I met with the CEO, I met with all the leaders, the chief medical officer, the VP of sales, the product engineers, everyone to really get a handle on what was going on in the company so I could create the best strategy for them. And then when it came time to execute on the strategy, it was up to me to then figure out who the best resources would be to make that strategy happen. So I had to kind of start from scratch and find the right people, whether it was marketing agencies to help me execute on a website or produce content and find some writers. And so, obviously I was able to do that and make it happen. But what I find is the difference with new initiatives marketing is I have all those people available to me right away. And the benefits that I've seen to that model are that things can just get going quite a bit more quickly. We've worked with all of these people before, they've worked with each other before, and we know what's needed to execute on a strategy, and we have those people in place right away. So it saves a lot of time, and it saves that kind of gelling time as well. Have you had that same experience, Jen?
Well, that's the thing too, and it takes a great deal of pressure and anxiety off the client because so if a fractional CMO comes in and develops a strategy, a plan, ready to execute, And it's just the same with anyone you go to work with, right? You don't know what it's like to work with each other until you work with
Right.
each other. That's why we really, stand behind those test project ideals for sure.
Mhm.
But in this way, when the fractional CMO brings in the marketing team behind them, there's a couple of things that happen right away. Is the fractional CMO already trusts the marketing
Mhm.
team and trust them to know that, okay, you guys have executed upon other strategies I
Mhm.
have developed in the past, and you know somewhat what to expect. Of course, every strategy is going to be different,
Right.
but they know how to work with the fractional CMO. They know how to work together, and that's what I was alluding to previously with the different marketing agencies. Within marketing, a lot of different things have to work together,
Mhm.
kind of in a domino effect, but more kind of in a machinery effect. So, for
Right.
example, if a writer is writing, we've got the graphic designer waiting to design that piece of content. We've got the web team waiting to load it up. We may have the email marketing team waiting to take that content and,
Mhm.
put it into appropriate email marketing campaigns. So every part of the discipline of marketing is kind of relying on the next phase in order to sort of take it. It's kind of like a relay a little bit. And
Right.
so the team that is already well gelled together really does understand, okay, they meet the deadlines. I know I'm
Mhm.
going to get good work. Here we go. And it really does help with efficiency,
Mhm.
and you get the best work out of a team that's really gelled and been working well
Mhm.
together. So with that, the client is also not experimented upon. And what I mean by that is,
Right.
being a fractional CMO, bringing in, you've got your strategy. Okay, you're ready to, execute. You yourself might be, okay, I'll go find this agency and that agency and, piece together the marketing team, which is fine. And a fractional CMO would be able to handle all of that. But then
Mhm.
that team right there is brand new, working together. And
Right.
so is the fractional CMO, and they're kind of, yeah, the client kind of becomes a little bit of a guinea pig in that kind of
Mhm.
situation. So there's a bit of risk in there going that route.
And all of this doesn't mean that you're not planning to eventually maybe build your own in-house team or bring on a CMO in-house. What this means is that you can get started with pretty low risk right away. You can get a strategy in place. You can see how a marketing team works. And after a year or however long it is, you'll be at a stage where you'll be like, oh, right, I know the type of leader I need as a CMO for my firm. I know the types of hires that I need to bring in. And so you don't waste that time early on kind of doing the testing and tweaking that you really don't have to do. It kind of gives you that example and experience right off the bat.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely, and that's a good point to bring up as well. As if the fractional CMO and their expert B2B marketing team come in for, rapidly get your marketing up and running, that very same team, at least the fractional CMOs, are open and willing to work with you, the client, in order to as you bring in your in-house team,
Mhm.
say that's your ultimate decision. We want this in-house. That's great. So as the in-house hires start coming in, the fractional CMOs and the B2B marketing team can start to train that new hire and
Right.
start to hand off the work. So
Yes.
at least we're totally happy to be
Mhm.
able to do that. But that lets the in-house person come in to a well-oiled machine as well,
Mhm.
and, sort of take their seat at the table as we get ready to hand that part off. So it can be a
Right.
great way. You have the time to find the right people you want in-house. All the while, you've got the rapid marketing strategy and execution happening for you. So
Right.
it's a great option.
Yeah, that's a really great point, and it brings up another question that we often get asked for me, and that is, well, what's the difference between a fractional CMO and a consultant or a contractor, a marketing consultant or a marketing contractor? And the main difference that I see is that a fractional CMO is someone who has actually been a senior marketing leader in companies before, and that means that a fractional CMO should have experience in multiple positions in marketing, leading and building a marketing team, for example, leading the company's marketing, developing the strategy, working with the sales leaders, working with product development, working with engineers, working with the subject matter experts. So what a fractional CMO comes with is the knowledge of working inside a company like yours. So for example, we specialize in B2B. And so that means that our fractional CMOs would bring expertise working in and leading marketing for a B2B company. A consultant, on the other hand, may not have worked for a company before. They may have come from an agency, or they may have been a junior person in a company. Some consultants could also be at a fractional CMO level, but you'd have to vet them to find out. And often consultants are brought in for a shorter period of time to produce a certain project. For example, they'll come in and create your marketing strategy and then leave and go on to the next company. Or come in and create a content marketing plan and then leave and go on to the next company. Not all of them, but that's typically how I've seen marketing consultants and contractors operate. What about you, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. That or with some of the contractors and freelancers, it has been, I'm doing this until I get my next full-time gig, which is absolutely fine and admirable. But the thing is, when you're working with, you're putting a lot of responsibility in these hands of these consultants and whatnot, and you want to make sure that they're taking your marketing problems and your marketing challenges, very, very seriously. So with the contractors and the freelancers, it could be an excellent option in certain ways, for sure.
Absolutely.
It can get funny if you bring in a contractor or a freelancer for one specific project, and then as your company is growing, you see there's another one available, another project. Perhaps that project doesn't exactly line up with that freelancer's or contractor's ideal skill set. And so then here you are almost having a bench of contractors and freelancers, which can be great. But then again, internally, someone has got to manage and make sure that symphony of contractors and freelancers is, getting all the marketing work done.
Right. And I think that brings up what I think is the most important message that B2B CEOs need to hear. And that is the first real marketing person to bring onto your team should be someone with strategic marketing leadership abilities. It should be that person who's able to come in and set the stage for the strategy and wrangle all the cats. So they're the ones where it doesn't matter. So you may have contractors, you may have freelancers, you may have agencies, but they're all coming into that senior marketing leader. And that's the person who makes sure they're all working together properly. They're all on strategy. They're all on brands, that there's not a lot of disparate things going on that are kind of competing against each other. There's nothing worse than a customer or a client or a prospect getting a message on this one side over here and then talking to a salesperson who says, I don't think we do that. You can see how things can fall apart when you've got multiple kind of cooks in the kitchen, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing about the C-level or the fractional CMO, in coming in at that type of level, it is a little bit more different and a little bit broader as well. Typically, the senior marketing expert at that level does understand that marketing does not exist in a silo. They have to be concerned what's going on in finance, what's going on in HR, what's going on in the whole company, what's going on in the industry, not just what's the latest going on in email marketing. Right now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to make sure that the level of expert you're bringing in at the fractional CMO level does understand somewhat of the general business challenges that'll be happening to your business, how marketing can help that, how marketing might get negatively affected by that. So you need that that experience as well.
Right. And the other department that's very important for them to understand and have had experience with is the sales team. They need to have worked with salespeople before, understand how the sales process works, and recognize the need for sales and marketing to not be a silo or not be silos, and how they need to integrate and work together and have some experience with that. Yeah. And the other thing I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about the difference between fractional CMOs and consultants is when it comes to building that team. So your fractional CMO, because they've had experience in B2B companies before, they've likely also had experience vetting and bringing on and hiring marketing team members. They understand the different team members that are needed for certain companies at certain stages and for certain reasons. And so often your fractional CMO can be a great guide in terms of building out your marketing team if that is your eventual goal. Now that we've kind of gone through all of the different options, I guess we could say in summary, if you're at that stage, 3 to 10 million, and you're a B2B CEO and you're trying to figure out your next best option, our biggest message to you is to bring on that senior marketing leader first, whether you're going to bring that on in-house or whether you're going to go with a fractional CMO or similar. That's important to do before you bring on more junior members of your team, before you outsource to marketing agencies, and before you bring on contractors and freelancers. So the order is senior marketing leader, someone who can produce your marketing strategy, take the time to create the right marketing strategy that's based on what your customers are telling you, and then go from there in terms of having someone in place who can guide you through the rest of the steps.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And we have put together a guide on this. So we'll link it below. We have it titled The CEO's Ultimate Guide to Building an Expert B2B Marketing Team in Today's Complex Marketing World.
Mm-hmm.
And it walks you through some of the challenges you'll need to look at and address. And it walks you through in depth a lot of what we talked about today in this presentation. So we'll link that down below for you to download and read through. And of course, too, if you want to have the chance to have a consultation and see if where you're at with marketing would be a good fit for us, we'll have a link to book a consultation with us as well, and we'll go from there.